Now I know some of you will miss the point I want to make, but I just want to make it clear. I am not advocating for a one-tap shotgun, especially one that can actually reach out to 50 plus meters. However, I would like to see a shotgun build that can fit competitively between current shotgun and rifle builds. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this, but to me, the best aspect of the Division is the amount of build freedom compared to many other games. Not just being able to make what they originally intended or going with the most cut and dry combinations, but actually trying to break away from what is typical. In this video, I wanted to look at one of the most attempted projects that has continually failed despite the devs even attempting at one point to make an exotic just for this idea. So come along with me while I talk about the unicorn I still have not given up on, the sniper shotgun. Some of you no doubt remember the disaster that was arguably the Division's most unique shotgun, the Medved. However, I remember when I first heard about this weapon and how I was actually excited for what it could bring to D1. Shotgun versatility. You see, in almost all games that involve shotguns, you generally get the typical boomstick that makes it seem like a shotgun only works within 10 meters, which is rather silly. And not to bore you with many details, I'm not going to actually cover that specifically. However, Battlefield 3 was maybe one of the first games that I actually feel got shotguns right. The ability to switch ammo and go for longer or shorter ranges allowed the weapon to be useful beyond the typical face-hugging corner camping we mostly associate it with. This did not make them OP, but it did allow them to be competitive. So given the Division is built on diversity, why is it that they still insist on only allowing shotguns to play into the typical stereotype that players repeatedly find cheesy or unfair? To quickly explain why the Medved failed, you need to understand the base model from which it was made. The SMG is a low-damage semi-auto shotgun that, until the showstopper came along, had the highest RPM in the shotgun class. So to get the same damage as other shotguns, you needed to fire faster, of course, which resulted in stronger recoil and less practical use at longer ranges. The Medved came with the unique talent Center Mass, which changed the normal 8-shot pattern into a single slug. It was also given a large accuracy boost and a greatly enhanced range. While on paper this may sound incredible, the results were not. The extended range was not very useful because, like the SMG, you could not really fire effectively at anything past 15 meters. The accuracy itself was also questionable, as you could still miss targets fully inside the reticle, which kind of defeated the whole unique talent's point. They also even removed the underbarrel slot to prevent added accuracy, stability, or optimal range. Even with wacky armor choices for extra range and accuracy, the weapon still failed in usability. But perhaps the biggest death blow came from its damage output. Fearing that a long-range shotgun would just dominate play, they nerfed the damage from the base SMG, which already had the lowest damage in the endgame shotguns, and they lowered this by about 20%. In truth, the Medved does only slightly more damage than the showstopper, which actually had an almost 33% faster RPM and was full auto. So in essence, the Medved was kind of relegated to a close-range headshot weapon. However, it was not given any additional headshot damage over base shotguns, and like I already stated, with not hitting targets and recoil issues, this combined to make a once promising idea into a shotgun that pretty much did almost nothing better. It was a sloppy and slow weapon that prevented itself from being truly effective past 15 meters, which, in PvP especially, took away all the point of actually using it over any other shotgun. The funniest thing is that its main rival was not other shotguns. In fact, the nearest comparison I can make is to the Urban MDR. Now, since the rifle class was not a thing in D1, this weapon was kind of a bastard child as well. A semi-auto, not a marksman rifle that had a very large ammo pool. The only advantage the Medved had over the MDR was its single shot damage. However, due to the MDR's much finer accuracy, smoother recoil, higher rate of fire, higher base headshot damage, enemy armor damage from assault rifles, much larger magazine size, 4 versus 2 weapon mod slots, huge ammo pool, and just the ability to actually function properly as a whole, the Medved was completely and utterly outclassed. It was a gun without a home, unable to compete in terms of damage up close, and unable to perform at distance. With Division 2, one of the things I hoped to do was actually revisit this travesty of justice for the Medved. Yet, the devs obviously had other plans in mind when they made this semi-auto rifle concept a unique class of its own, thus kind of cementing the fate of the long-distance shotgun as pretty much just a novelty. However, slowly over the updates, some changes have given rise to the possible return of the idea. Notably, the send-off with 100% optimal range gave me something to toy with, and then the buff that weapon handling got months after Warlords of New York dropped reignited my interest yet again. But still, the actual results left a lot to be desired. To be a bit more clear on what my goal actually is, for anyone still watching this, it is not to make a super shotgun that one-taps everything from 0 to 50 meters. Gaining the accuracy and range needed would, of course, lower the possible damage potential. As many of us are aware, the basic effectiveness of most weapons is pretty much something like this. You've got your marksman rifles that generally suffer up close, but excel over other weapons at long range. Rifles generally suffer less in close quarters, but are also not great at extreme distances. ARs tend to be the pocket knife in most ways, as they are great close to mid-range weapons, and even reach out a bit further if you use burst fire properly. LMGs are a bit odd, as they generally have good range, but combined with accuracy and reticle pattern issues, they start to suffer before they even reach their max potential range limits. SMGs are bullet hoses and work great at close range spraying, but have low range, and even without that, like the LMG, the reticle and accuracy are not advantageous for distance. This leaves the shotgun with only a very small band of effectiveness. Not only is the range trash, but the accuracy is equally as bad. What I wish for the shotgun simply involves being able to tighten up the accuracy more, and extending that optimal range. You would no longer have a one-tap rush build, just a weapon that is better than shotguns at medium range, and weaker than rifles at longer range. Looking over the various attempts so far, I scale it like this. As I already went over shotgun up close, rifles better further out, the Medved, as discussed, did an overall crap job in this gap, seriously lacking damage up close and being a mess to use further out. The send-off from Division 2 moved in the right direction, but was still hampered by its real lack of investable accuracy. The showstopper worked well up close, but even with the max accuracy buff, damage drop-off and recoil pretty much ensured that it was not going to reach a goal of long distance. What I seek to create is a shotgun that is not perfect for facehugging, but becomes competitive with ARs and LMGs further out. And I have done almost everything in my power to make this desired build, investing everything into handling that I could without making a useless booster hive skill build. But the idea is just not competitive. Strikers, Overlord, Braced, handling in every slot, and still the accuracy is on the poor side. Then you need to consider the actual damage cost from these lackluster results. No crit, no headshot, 2 talents wasted, brand and gear set damage gone. It is just too much for almost nothing in return. As the years have gone by since Division 1 launched in 2016, the devs have made choices more streamlined in many aspects of the game, cut out a lot of the potential to really focus on something unique. Basically, they have selectively removed or nerfed anything that does not fit into their narrow definition of what a build class can or should do. While many of us agree something's become too powerful or too meta, I think we can also agree that the amount of double and triple nerfs they apply are a bit heavy-handed, like the excessive nerfs to clutch builds, or the rework to the gunslinger holster pretty much killing a lot of utility and pistol builds. Then there are other things that they just selectively avoided, like mod slots not giving players any significant way to actually upgrade accuracy or optimal range, or how skill mods avoid skill damage buffs at all costs, or how blue armor mods revolve only around countering status effects or elites, yet ignore any sense of crit, pulse, headshot, body shot damage mitigation. In the end, all I really want to say on the matter is that for the game to actually offer true diversity and build innovation, Massive needs to find a way to stop stifling creativity and offer more ways for the player to actually decide what they would like to use. In this specific case, no, I do not need a shotgun that can one-tap everyone from over 50 meters away, but maybe a realistic choice of having the highest damage or a usable effective range should be in the hands of the players. And not just for one class of weapon or one skill, but for all of them. Choice and sacrifice are the cornerstones of an RPG. But my question for you is, when what you gain from that sacrifice is so insignificant, is it really a choice? Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.